Hi everybody, well it's been too long, but here we are back in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, answering the question, is this game worth buying cheap? And I'm kind of coming at it from two directions. Maybe if you haven't bought Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War at all yet, and also maybe you've got it on a last-gen console like a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. It feels odd saying that, doesn't it? And maybe now you've got a PlayStation 5, or you've got an Xbox Series S or a Series X or a Series S like I have, and whether you should buy the game again, in effect, if you've changed platforms. So, you know, in my case, I bought the PlayStation 4 cross-gen version of Black Ops Cold War back in November of 2020, thinking that I'll be able to get a PlayStation 5. Couldn't get a PlayStation 5 for love nor money. Ended up buying an Xbox Series S, which I have fallen in love with. So then for a long time I had to make a decision about, should I buy Black Ops Cold War again? Would it be any better on the next gen? And I was a little bit loath to do so, because I thought, well, I've already spent like £70 on this game. So that's why, you know, I wanted to only get it while it's cheap. And so a couple of days ago, it was in the sale on Xbox, and I'd watched quite a few reviews. I was mainly interested in the frame rate, and how the next gen consoles handled the frame rate, because I wanted to make sure that it was going to be firing along at 60 frames a second, which Call of Duty tends to do all the time anyway. So I pulled the trigger, I downloaded it, and remember, the thing I'm most interested in is the multiplayer. And I've got to say, I've been blown away. So, what happens with Call of Duty is that in the multiplayer, they aim for 60 frames a second. That's what the developer aims for on console. It must deliver 60 frames a second. And the way that they made that work on the older consoles like PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones is you would use, and previously on Xbox 360s and stuff, is you would use adaptive resolution. So in order to keep firing along at 60 frames a second to get that really smooth look to the game, the resolution would drop from like 1080p down to, you know, 720. You know, it would keep going up and down. So rather than frame rate going up and down as the scene became more complicated, as there was smoke, explosions, more characters on screen, that sort of stuff, the resolution would drop, and that's how they would fire along. But what you get when you go to next gen, in this case the Series S, is you get a rock solid 60 frames a second with a rock solid 1080p. Because you've got to remember, I'm playing this on my TV, so the maximum it can do is 1080p 60 frames a second. I don't have a 4K TV or anything like that, or a 1440p monitor. But that's quite transformative. It might not sound like a lot to go, well, wait a minute, it's still the frame rate, same frame rate, it's still 60 frames a second, but you're just getting solid 1080p. But that means the game is so much crisper. You know, turn off motion blur in the settings, and the game is just so much crisper and looks great, feels great. I personally think that Black Ops Cold War is an absolutely fantastic Call of Duty multiplayer. I mean, I super enjoyed Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Don't get me wrong. I think that transformed COD got it back on the correct boots on the ground pathway, but it could be a little bit defensive. And probably the biggest problem with COD Modern Warfare 2019 was the sound engine. It was a very two-dimensional sound engine, so it's very difficult to tell if people are above or below you. The sound engine in Black Ops Cold War is amazing. You can tell exactly where enemies are coming from. So if you've got your headset on, if you turn the volume up and you pay attention, you know, you're not just thundering around, sprinting around everywhere. You can tell where people are coming from, and you can pre-fire people before they come around corners, and you can get them. And it feels great. The gunplay is fantastic. The big danger with Treyarch CODs like the Cold War series is quick scoping from sniper rifles, and you don't get much of that at all, or I don't tend to come across it very much, which is a really good thing. I play Domination all the time, and it rewards that slightly more thoughtful gameplay. Now, I'm not saying I'm really good at it or anything. In fact, I'm really rusty, you can see in this gameplay. But it's a very fun Call of Duty, where if you do a bit of practicing to get your accuracy up, if you think about what loadout you're running, and your strategies you're using, it does reward that, and you can make a big difference and have really good fun. Really good fun. So I would say, if you've got a last gen console and you bought this on last gen, 100% it's worth buying cheap. You know, look out for it when it's in the PlayStation sale or the Xbox sale and get it then. You know, I think I paid £32 for this, which means that I've paid probably about £100 altogether for Black Ops Cold War, but I have put hundreds and hundreds of hours into it on the PlayStation 4, and I'm probably going to be putting a lot more time into it on the Xbox Series S. It feels so good to be back. You know, Call of Duty is kind of where I came back to video games many years ago with Advanced Warfare, I think it was, when my son gave me his Xbox 360. And this is what I enjoy the most. I might not be the best at it, but when it's a good Call of Duty is a great video game, and this is absolutely worth buying cheap. So let's take it from the other direction now, which is, say you haven't bought Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War on any platform and you're thinking about diving in. I would say yes, it's still absolutely worth buying cheap, because the game is still in its first year of life cycle, so there's still plenty of people playing it. So what that means is that there's a good cross section of different skill levels still in the multiplayer, so that means skill-based matchmaking can work, which means that even if you're not very good, you're probably going to have an okay time. The other thing is that this game has a pretty good campaign. In fact, I would say, yeah, it has a good campaign with some really good levels in it, so that's fun. And the zombies, although I don't play much zombies, don't see much zombies gameplay footage on this channel, the zombies looks fantastic and is good fun as well. So you've got kind of 3 core bits of a great value for money Call of Duty as well, with a good campaign, good zombies, and a good multiplayer. So I would say yes. So if you're thinking about getting this game, it's still absolutely worth buying cheap if you haven't got it already. If you've got a next gen console, buy it on a next gen console. And then if you've got an old gen console or last gen console, buy it on that. So there we go. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Absolutely worth buying cheap, whether you've got it on a last gen, buy it cheap to get it on your next gen console, or if you haven't got it, get it anyway. Great game, great Call of Duty. Well done, Treyarch. Let's just fingers crossed that the next one, Call of Duty World War II Vanguard, is going to be 3/4 as good as this game. Anyway, that's enough from me. What do you think? Put your questions in the comments down below, and I will of course see you again soon.
C secure.
Sorry guys, 5 minutes to go.
Taking Bravo. Take it, bloody shot. We are green on capture. Losing Charlie.